I'm Stephanie from Rearview Rhonda.
And I'm David from The Devil in Us.
We're excited to share the noise coming out of this town.
This is Noise and Nonsense, a podcast about the bands playing your favorite house shows, DIY venues, or melting faces at the local bar down the street.
These are the bands you should know, the ones killing it locally in rock, punk, metal, all local, all killer.
Support your local scene.
Let's dive in.
How you doing?
Good. I didn't know if either of us were going to say anything.
I know, right?
Silent staring.
Just sit here and stare.
How's your weekend?
It's great. The weather was fantastic except for those tornadoes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess.
Did you have any property damage? Or?
No. I live in northern part of the county, and there wasn't. It was just a storm. So
It was
Yeah.
pretty wild down here. There was within a mile of our house one touchdown, and yeah, the post office on South Rogers is just gone.
yeah, I go to that one for work, and it was like I just
Not anymore.
when I saw it, like that picture came through, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Josh was like, what's wrong? And I was like, the post office is gone. He's like, dude, I thought somebody died. I was like, well, it was a really cute post office.
It was. It had that like old timey feel still, you know.
It
that,
did,
like,
yeah.
old and local.
No, it's like, yeah, like my work has a P.O. box there, so I just like, I don't know, I have like weird fondness of going to post offices, because like when I was little, my dad had a P.O. box for work, and I don't know, like for whatever reason, the post office was always like pretty cool place to go. Plus,
Yeah.
I come from where I come from isn't like a big town, but it has like some really cool like marble, interior buildings, especially like the old downtown buildings, and
Yep.
the post office is one of them. So it's
Yeah.
just, I don't know, those are cool buildings. So it's just like, have those fun like memories of post offices.
Yeah.
I like
Going-
them.
Retrieving fun things and
Yeah.
seeing cool stuff.
Yeah.
I love that old school kind of architecture.
Mhm.
Like some of the buildings I worked in on campus have that
Yeah.
marble interior. And
Yeah. It's really neat.
it's super cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, what else about this weekend? I got to see y'all for the first time
Yeah.
since
Yeah.
a long time. I think
Yeah.
October was the last time I saw you guys when you were at the Bishop.
Okay, maybe. Yeah. We played at a Gold Dust final yesterday, and it was my first time in the shop, which I was happy to finally make it in there. Every time I've gone, I guess they're open weekends, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I guess I've apparently always gone Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Because I always stop by and I'm like, it's not open. But yeah, it's a cool little shop. It was fun, and actually had really great. I thought the sound was like, you never know when you play in a space like that if it's gonna
Yeah.
be bad or whatever, like sound wise. But I thought it seemed like it sounded pretty cool.
It sounded great. For those who don't know, Gold Dust is vinyl and vintage stuff run by Jade. And it's a cinder block shop, so I was curious how it was going to sound too, but it sounded great in there. I think the clothes muffled,
I guess, yeah.
the baffled kind of the reverberation maybe off the walls.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounded great in there.
Yeah, it was a fun space.
Pretty good turnout too.
Yeah.
We saw some people walking as we were getting there. We got a little late, and I was like, "They're definitely going to Gold Dust." And
Yeah.
as we were standing there, they walked in.
Yeah.
So, good on us.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of the fun of my weekend. So
That's cool. Yeah, it's a cool shop. Jade does a lot with the community too. So shout out to Jade and Radio Regazio.
Yeah.
I think they're Wednesday. Does it start at 9? 9 to 11?
9 to 11, yeah.
So
Yeah.
check out
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Radio Regazio, 9 to 11 on WFHP. Who do we have today?
Looks like we have Cattle Cult.
Cool. Let's get them in here.
All right. This week on Noise and Nonsense, we have Cattle Cult.
Welcome.
But it's just Nico.
It's just Nico. So Nico,
One quarter of Cattle Cult.
what do you do in Cattle Cult?
I've written most of the songs, except for the covers, and done most of the design work and Dude, like I think of myself as kind of a band mom a little bit. Because I'm old enough to be jaded on social mobility. Maybe I think that might be why. So I have I don't know about time, but energy and compulsion towards those things. Yeah.
Cool. So
And I play guitar. Did I say that?
Yeah,
I play
think
guitar.
Yeah, no.
I play the twangy. I play the twangy guitar.
Yeah.
If you look at the credits, or Mike is credited as trippy guitar, and I'm credited as twangy guitar
Nice.
because it's not done.
And
Doesn't really fall perfectly in line with like rhythm and lead.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're the vocalist as well, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the most part, Clara did a couple covers, and Mike and Clara have both done background vocals, and I think it remains to be seen whether, I'm sure Mike will keep doing background vocals. I don't, and we haven't really talked about new folks.
Yeah, I
and
guess
there's
like
a
I guess who are we missing from Cattle
Okay,
Cult?
so
let's go over the
okay,
all
so
that.
so we have so we're 4-piece. There's 2 guitars. Me and Mike Cerami plays guitar. And now we have Zan, whose last name I can't remember,
Smith.
playing drums, and Rose, whose last name I can't remember, playing bass. And we just had like a kind of exodus, an amicable enough exodus of so it's a new lineup. So and yeah, so but I think originally I was just like the only one who had the time to make it here today, and so we just kind of rolled with that. But
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you spending some time with us.
Yeah.
For those who have not heard your music before, you describe it as sad dad shit. How can you further describe that to the audience?
So that was Mike's input, and I think it kind of represents a like cross section of like angsty millennial nostalgia that is I associate with like a lot of like kind of post-hardcore Fugazi adjacent stuff, as well as like all of the, you know, the more emo offshoots, more canonically emo offshoots, and then also just like Wilco and stuff. I haven't listened to a ton of Wilco, but like I think that's the general vibe. It's like the cool angry dad. I got a Spotify mix that was like cool angry dad day list or something like that, and had like strung out and stuff on it. And that was okay too, but
Yeah. Nice. So what are some of the covers you play?
we have done Mother of Earth by Gun Club a few times. Clara sang that one. We did a cover of the Chimbley Sweep by the Decemberists that we don't have an organ in the band, so I did an a cappella theremin for the solo instrument.
That's pretty cool.
In that, which is something that it's like a bonus skill that you get after you've like been doing like vocal stimming in the car for 36 years. Kind of that wasn't a great one, but
I mean,
it's about there's like some upper harmonics that really make it pop. And I don't. We're working on a secret Lana Del Rey cover right now. I think the first song the cover that we did. I think we did 2 covers at our very first show. One was Second Best by Pedro the Lion, which is formative to my cynicism at least. And we also covered Can't Change Me by Lydia Lovelace, which was I think of as kind of the song that convinced me that I had a voice, because I just never heard anybody cram that many words into a line before. I was just like, that is so cool.
Nice. Awesome. Are there any kind of going off the covers you choose and everything, are there any specific themes or personal experience that consistently show up when you do your songwriting?
I mean, I think I go pretty hard on absurdity as both a rhetorical device and coping strategy. What was it? What was the original question, though?
Just like, do you have any specific themes or personal experience that show up?
I would say, I mean, I think I try really hard to not write anything that's like too specific to me, at least for that. And then if I want to write some like sappy breakup shit, that's like more of a like Nico Anadonia song, I guess. Because I think that at least like for Cattle Cult, that kind of is the central thrust is like not really having any answers and having everything be sort of like hand-wavingly vague enough that that it could be interpreted as like maybe like Kurt Vonnegut fan fiction or something.
Okay.
When did you realize that you wanted to do vocals? You mentioned something about doing that earlier.
Well, like I mentioned the like vocal stimming thing. So I've always been hyperverbal, I would say, and both in terms of like the way that I speak and just like the amount of stuff that I say. So I think like I've been like more or less, I think I had like at least inklings of like some kind of identity about writing as early as like early high school. And I think I'm like performative by nature, and I think that that's like sort of the crux of like one of, I don't know, it's some important aspect of my identity, but always felt like there was like probably not something okay about that, and I should just get a job instead. So I think it like took me a really long time to even like be in the place where I would be even like admit to like being comfortable in that kind of role. Because I always like felt kind of had like some like shame surrounding it, feeling like gratuitous or something. But I've always sung in the car, and I've liked karaoke for as long as I could remember. But it was, I don't know, it was like during the pandemic, and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna write some songs, and I hadn't written anything really since like high school, and I think at some point realized that like I didn't think that, I guess that I had to be the one to like tell those stories. I don't know how to write a song for somebody else to sing.
Yeah, the pandemic was kind of magical to everyone to just say, I really don't give a fuck anymore, and I'm going to try this. And I did the same. Like, I was like, never would have gotten up to sing in front of people. And then the pandemic, I was like, I don't fucking care anymore. I'm just going to do this.
Yep.
So,
And well, and I think I've never like had anything that I would call like canonically like stage fright. Like, I get like a little bit of physical anxiety, but it's always felt like it feels like test anxiety almost. It's just like, here's this thing, I'm gonna go do it, and my body feels ways about it. But I've never had any. I've never like really gotten in my head about it, because it's never really mattered to me, because I kind of felt like people have been judging the way that I behave since I was old enough to like make a noise.
Yeah,
It's a good way to put it.
yeah. I had a pretty heavy imposter syndrome, so I had to get over that. But
Yeah. I have been through that several times.
Yeah. It comes in waves, right?
Yeah.
It's like it never goes away. So you talked about you started writing in high school. What does your songwriting process look like for a song? Do you start with like a mood, lyrics, melody? What do you start with?
I think usually there's just like a line.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% sure if I actually believe this or if Bruce Springsteen said it once, and so I believe that it's true. But it's something like along the lines of like songs that start out as concepts just don't end up being any good.
Yep.
And I don't know if I don't know if I honestly believe that that's like reflective of my process, but
Mhm.
I kind of like want to believe it because it's the boss, right?
Yeah, it's like
And but I do feel like the ones that are, at least the ones that I write that are like the most surprising, just like come from like a line that's like a hook.
mm-hmm.
And I think. Oh, I think that there's probably about like 25% of them are like there's like some story that I'm trying to tell.
Mm-hmm. So you start with lyrics before the music?
I would say that I would say like words usually come first.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes it's like existing chord progressions that I've had bumping around in my head for like 20
Yeah.
years that just like find their way into, or just like I can't say that I've ever just like written some chords and then just like slapped some words onto them later, but they
Yeah.
like come back in waves. I would say that like the first track on the EP is A Knife Between Friends, and I think that like the riff from that came from a riff that I had been like noodling around on for like 6 years or so,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of found its way in as just like kind of a motif. And I feel like there were like other parts of that chord progression that were like really hard for me to let go. But I was just like, no, I'm just like taking this part. Like, that's not a song. You just like stuck a bunch of chords together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like cutting off. It's like pruning a like bonsai tree or something.
Yeah.
Or like just deciding like which branches are going to end up being. It's very, very like, it's almost like like Sparta. Just like a ruthless pruning of ideas.
Kicking them into the pit.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that. I mean, I'm working on a song that I'm 45 now, and I'm writing some stuff that's based off something I wrote when I was like 18. It's crazy how some of these items stay with you for years.
Yeah. And I think but I would say that the ones that like feel like the ones that have like the best hooks, or it's just like an idea, usually in the form of like some like verbal power fantasy, and then like a hypothetical confrontation in my head or something like that. There's like and then you just like there's just like some retort, and that becomes like that becomes like there's just like some one-liner, and then just like the rest of the mood just like comes out of like whatever whatever that line was. And I like big words a lot. I don't know. Sometimes I think there's probably just like a word, and I'm just like, I need to use this word. And
Yeah.
I figure out.
Yeah.
What is it about that word? Is it the syllable layout? Is it just the phonetics of it?
I'm trying to think of like the last word that's really like compelled me to like carve a special space for it. I would say coagulate is the last word. That's so I have a song called Check Engine, or we have a song called Check Engine that's not on the EP. It'll be on the next release, and it's kind of like I think of it as like kind of like an apocalyptic, like fever dream of like a really horny Pete Seeger. It's like it's like it's a labor ballad, but it's also like there's like a lot of car metaphors and stuff in it. But there's this the line, the blood between the gears is running dry. The hollow purpose you've written's coagulated in the lines, I think. And I think that's the like last line that I can think of. Like I have a word and
Yeah.
that needs to have a line.
No, it's fun.
Let's go back to the beginning of Catacult. How did you all form? Where did the idea come from? And is there any meaning behind the name?
So I had written one song at this point, Super Fund, which is track 3 on Discourse. And I didn't know, I was only very like loosely plugged into the like Bloomington music scene, and like going back, like the last time I'd ever been in a band was like 2004, and that band had broken up, and it had been like a probably medium to large T social trauma, and I'd never really like tried. It was just always challenging for me to find people to play music with, despite having like been around music and having interest in music and like kind of doing my own thing with it for 25 years or so. It was always like pretty tough to find people to play with. So anyway, I wrote this song, Super Fund, that for a project that I envisioned or sold as being a mashup of Tammy Wynette and Fugazi. So I put that in the bio, and it was very self-serious and had a different name. We kind of like took a hard left turn into like absurdity and started playing with in my mind it became like more psychedelic and more just like kind of a little bit weirder, a little bit more theatrical when we changed the name. And I think the name, we were just trying to come up with names that were that suggested had kind of like vaguely kind of like Western sounding vibes, but were also like informed by like like Lovecraftian mythology and stuff. And I think there was like Eldritch Hoof in the running, and
Kind of a great name.
but or I think I had proposed like Date Night with the Hat Man, I think was one of the, and we were like coming up to this show, we had to change our name like pretty abruptly for like kind of like icky like political reasons. And so we were just like at the night of the show, and I was just like Cattle Cult, and I was just like, I don't know, it's easy to say. And I had like, there's like the skull like imagery feels like easy to design things around. Mm-hmm. And then I started like thinking of it like more and more in the context of just like absurdist spiritual traditions and things like that. And I was just like, oh, we could actually like make a religion out of this. So I'm like thinking about, okay, well, like maybe we can do the like Congregation of the Singular Hoof or something along those lines somewhere down the road. Maybe I'll run for president. I don't know.
So you've had a bit of a lineup change. Has Cattle Cult sound changed from when it started to where you're at now, or do you see any kind of change or development?
I think it's with the new lineup, it's too soon to know really, because we had a handful of bassists too for a while, and then we only really have the one recording for reference, aside from like the various demos. I think you like go back and listen to some of the older demos. It definitely is a lot. We hadn't like figured out the twangy part yet, I think.
Yeah. Do you so you do the writing when you bring a song to like practice or whatever? Does everyone kind of do their own parts, or do you already have like kind of like some ideas for them? Or
I would say for the most part, I just have like the song as it's written. I think once or twice I've like come up with a couple like, here's an idea, or here's like a lick that works here. But I think for the most part I'm just like interested in the song itself. And I think if I could, I think I think that like one of the wolves inside of me is like very much a micromanager.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to give that one like just enough to like keep it from being distracting. But for the most part, I try to avoid really even practicing it too much myself before the others have had their hands in it, because
Yeah.
I don't want it to get stuck in my mind as like a concept before
Yeah.
that.
So you prefer collaboration between all members then, or?
At least for this thing. I mean,
Yeah.
this thing is supposed to be a very like chaotic, like kind of no set list, maybe sort of like a bit unpredictable, very chemistry dependent thing. It's not supposed to be, at least in my mind, like the way it's not supposed to be very composed. It's supposed to be in the spirit of like DIY, late 90s DC. So I wouldn't want to have like too much. And I think that that's like kind of maybe the spiritual difference between the stuff that I do like for my just like my stuff that may or may not have a band involved. It's like I feel kind of entitled to be a little bit yacht rock with that, and maybe a bit micromanagey and play all the instruments or have all the parts or whatever.
Yeah.
But if I'm writing songs about how, it's folly to have any trust in human institutions, it's kind of a hard sell to have people follow it like Chopin or something.
Let's dive into some of the gear. What are you using to get your sound?
So my amp is just a pedal baby, an orange pedal baby. It's a 100-watt power amp. I would love it if they made a stereo version, but I'm eventually probably just going to get a second one and then like muffler strap them together with a handle on the top. I use a Catlin Bred 5F6. It's a 59 Bassman preamp in a pedal with like JFETs or something. And then there's like an always on compressor reverb delay, just like twangy country, like Bassman sound, basically. I have a Klon clone that I use occasionally that I put before the preamp. And a couple, I don't really have, like I have another delay pedal that I play with sometimes. It's mostly just for like the spacey outros and stuff. And that's pretty much it. The gear, electronics wise, and the guitars, hollow body, with P90s. I don't know how to pronounce it because it's French, but Godin is the best I can. I would, as an American, and if I saw it naively, I would pronounce it Godin, but that is not how it's pronounced. But I think I like my amp setup better than anything else I've ever had. There's no tubes anywhere, and there's probably a digital delay or something. There's no screens though. There's no LCD screens.
Nice. Yeah.
And I have my big like down the road project for the second pedal baby is to have a Sun Model T sim on the right and the Fender Tweed on the left.
Nice.
Especially there's some stuff that we're doing that's going to be a good bit doomier than what's on the record currently. So.
Okay. Awesome.
I was gonna say that's a doom setup.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's a Telecaster tuned to C sharp.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay.
so I kind of do I've experimented with not the Model T, but like just like a fuzz pedal into like a shitty solid state amp and EQ that one like way low and take most of the lows out of the Fender sound. And it's a very cool, like you get a twinkly kind of Fendery sound on the left and that like just brown note kind of sludge on the right. And it works really well with the like
Yeah.
So that's I'm looking forward to trying that out.
Are you tuned to C sharp for
No,
majority of your stuff?
No,
Okay.
that's we have. I've written a couple songs, just a few, for almost as an experiment. I was just like, I'm gonna write a doom metal song that is also a country song,
Mhm.
and I had just watched Hellraiser 2, so it's, so it's like a kind of like meant to be kind of apocalyptic and like spirit of like revelation and all that stuff.
I think I remember when you got that guitar. I think you actually brought it by a job site I was working at. Like you bought it and then like said it was tuned to C sharp, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, it has 13s on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Do you have any unusual or like crazy tools that you use in your rig for recording?
Oh, we have the little pink Joyo amp that was like $23 or something on Amazon.
Is that do you have an image of that on your Instagram?
Yeah.
Is that what that was? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like this little Bluetooth amp.
Yeah.
And it just has like the gnarliest fuzz, and it's used in a couple tracks in the EP, including the outro. There's this delightful, just like kind of brittle fuzz sound that goes that like kind of bleeds off on the outro. That is that amp, but I had it in parallel with a big amp that I had in the booth because I wanted the feedback. So
Okay,
I split the signal coming out of my big muff because it's the bass muff and it has the wet and the dry. And I sent one out to the little pink amp, which was in a different room with the mic on it. And I had this big argument with Greg about how like he's like, why are you using the big amp? It's like, because I need the feedback. He's like, I don't think it's gonna work that way. I'm like, no, it's definitely gonna work that way. And then we had this whole like back and forth thing. And then I don't know, it might even be on the track a little bit. You might even, I don't know. I think that was actually recorded in the room that they were all sitting in. So for all I know, there's like some like exclamation of Greg saying like, well, I'll be dipped on the track.
Yeah.
I would hope so. I haven't heard it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I
so-
wouldn't put it past him that he scrubbed it out.
Yeah, I don't know. He might have like left it in there. Well, so you mentioned Greg. So you recorded this EP at Noisy Chairs, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
And we did it like mostly we did basically all the like basic tracks in one session, and then came back and added a couple like more layers. I don't even say overdubs, but I don't there might have been a little bit of overdubbing, but just added some extra guitars and some background vocals. And I think it was like maybe done in like 10 hours or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a fun space down there. We've been recording there as well. But yeah, you have to get out of there a few times during the recording session to see the light of day.
I was in the booth.
Yeah.
And I was the only one in the. No, I was like, I need to be in there with the feedback. Like it makes.
So you
a difference.
stayed in the room.
I was in the booth
man.
with
the.
So it got real hot in there, and then at one
Yeah.
point, I think I got a little bit panicky and had to go outside.
Yeah, we always do overdubs for feedback. So we're all in the same room together with Greg, but then I have to go in there for like vocals, and it's just like I'm all alone.
Yeah, no,
in this room.
I had the vocal mic in there with me too, with the
So
feedback.
did you
everything.
do like a live vocals while recording? Nice. That's
I redid the vocals on Dead Loot.
okay. Yeah, our first two EPs are just live. Like vocals are done like during the like.
Yeah,
It's just all live, and then we stopped doing that with Glutton, but it helps because the the energy and emotion are there while you're playing. It's weird to sing.
It feels more
like,
correct.
It does.
It
It's
feels
weird.
like we're gonna do like the Cannibal Corpse disclaimer on the records. No overdubs were used during the production
Yeah,
of this record.
yeah.
I feel that sometimes you can get in a weird headspace when you're doing the overdubs too, where
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go in this booth by myself and everyone's watching me do this.
Yeah,
shit.
Or it's
I-
just like you're listening. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
hard to like have that like raw emotion when you play, I guess. But
I think that I try very, very hard to convince myself that like there's not like a right way for something to sound,
Mhm.
and I
Yep.
just kind of am hopefully just like high enough that I
Yeah.
can just do what needs to be done. I think there was like a neck bend on one of the tracks on the EP, and I'd like never done that before, and I was just like in the booth, and I was just like, I think I'm gonna like do a neck bend here. It was Greg's guitar, so it's just like might as well.
No better time to try this out.
And so there's just like, and it's real subtle. Like you won't pick it out unless you know it's there, or you know are looking for it. But it worked, and I don't think I would have figured that out if I was like focused on like playing it the right way.
yeah, that's awesome.
Do you have a favorite venue that you've played, and what would be your dream gig?
So our very first legit show was at Healer in Indy.
Yeah, there's cool.
And I mean, it was put together by a friend, and it was like kind of a sensory friendly night. It wasn't like a big crowd or anything, and nobody was making out in the little like art installations or anything like that. But I think venue wise, like I think if it had been a bigger show, it that would probably be that would have been really cool, because it's our. I mean, and at least certainly in my mind, like our music is supposed to be trippy. Like the first part of our Instagram bio is music to smoke toad venom under a painted sunset with your cowfolk lover by. And I think Healer is really the best venue that I've been in this area to embody that.
I forgot to ask you about that today because I read that and I was like, "This is awesome. It's great."
But I conceive of it as basically like, I think this EP would be the great soundtrack for the episode of The Simpsons where Homer eats the Guatemalan
yeah.
insanity pepper and
Yeah.
like meets Johnny Cash, who is a fox and his spirit guide and all. I think that like and I thought about when we did a show at Orbit Room, and I was like trying to maybe get a projector and like just project that over us. And that is also some sad dad shit.
Yeah.
Like that is like the sad dads were like in bands that did stuff like that in like 2006. and I think that that's a creative goal for me, to bring it back to sad dad shit.
Awesome. Well, do you have any upcoming shows?
Well, we have as soon as I get it, we just had the lineup change was like really abrupt, so nothing booked.
Yeah.
But hopefully we're gonna do the official release of Discourse hopefully in like 8 weeks or so, and we're gonna do a soft release of it on just Bandcamp before that. But in the meantime, there are CDs around town,
Okay.
various record stores. So yeah, I don't have any show dates, but keep an eye out like 2 months or so.
Okay. So I guess that was my next question. But yeah, we were lucky enough to get a copy of Discourse. Thank you, Nico.
Yeah.
But these are out. People can pick them up in town.
Yeah, it's there's like a handful of them around town. And if you want one and you can't find it, you can message me on Instagram. But we just ever since like there was like kind of like just like lineup chaos, and it's just like I'm gonna make it. I feel like it would be cool for people who are still interested in physical media to have
Yeah.
something special for a little while, and then the Bandcamp True Believers, and then those be the actual cult members.
Yep.
And then and then the streaming after that. And I want to hopefully get some shows booked here soon. Yeah.
What's the best way for people to stay in touch with Cattle Cult?
We're gonna Instagram Cattle Cult Noise. Same on Bandcamp. I'm hoping for Subvert.fm to take off, which is the creator-owned version of Bandcamp. And everybody should check it out if you haven't yet. And probably the same handle there. I would love to not have to use any of the kind of mainline social media platforms anymore. So, but I'm sure we'll be loud about it if we ever actually succeed in making the exodus.
That about wraps our time up. Do you have any final words for us?
Moo.
That's been the best.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for spending time with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Show enough.
Thank you for listening today. Oh, I guess we should go into shows, huh?
Yeah.
You want to start?
Yeah, I guess Rearview Ronda's next show is June 29th. We're playing the City Park series at Bryan Park.
Cool. You can check my band, Devil Lettuce, at Melody Inn July 30th. Thank you for listening. Follow us on Instagram at Noise and Nonsense Podcast. It might just be Noise and Nonsense. I'm pretty sure it might just be Noise and Nonsense. Shoot us a message there if you're interested in being a guest, or shoot us an email at noiseandnonsensepodcast@gmail.com.
Yep, thanks for listening.